Welcome to Mic Check Waifu Waifu.
Mic check. Mic check. Waifu. King, tell him. Is that you?
What's up, bro there?
This is episode 256 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Patreon. Patreon.com/Mic Check Waifu is where you can get early access of the video version of this podcast. Is where you can get access to our conversational bonus podcast, The After Story. A new After Story episode just rolled out for everybody, though. For everyone. It is our live reactions to the PlayStation, what they call them?
State of Play.
State of Play. I called it PlayStation Showcase. I mixed Xbox and PlayStation together, apparently. But the State of Play for May 30th. So this is open to everybody on our Patreon as well as on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MicCheckWaifu, because there you can watch us live at the end of the month. So I believe we decided, man, June 30th or May 30th.
Yeah. No, June.
June 30th, yes. Was it June 30th we decided? June 30th, we're going to have a live episode. Stay tuned because that may change throughout the month, though, as we figure this out, because the summer season is coming up. For those of you that don't know, we cover summer anime, and I think our preview episodes are more fun when they're live, so we may move the live up, but stick to our Discord, MicCheckWaifuWaifu.com, or just follow us on Twitter at MicCheckWaifu to get any updated information on what we got going on. But I'm excited. So, Mic Check Waifu is brought to you by the Patreon producers. They keep the lights on here at MicCheckWaifuWaifu.com. Shout out to the Patreon producers, Christian, the archivist. Thank you for giving the archived data on the Beastars review, because a couple of episodes ago we did a review. We figured out that Tail did overscore Beastars while I properly rated Beastars. But I digress. Christian, the archivist, thank you. Rob from Dad Needs to Talk podcast. More from him later. Saphir. J. Lee Trey from Show Go High, Cant the Pro from Chaotic Culture and Show Go High, Explicitly, All for One Matt, Mazer, Altor, Monique Williams, Nachi, Semi Sensei, Frozen, Rob Stone, and our guy T Money Fingers. Rob Stone is going to be brought in a little bit later too. Thank you all so much for producing this and many episodes of the podcast. And shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We literally couldn't do this without y'all. It means the world to us. Thank you so very, very much. Got a big episode for you guys today. Before we get into that, though, I got to ask how my co-host, my brother, tell him, how you doing?
What's up there, bro? What's happening, man? I'm good. I'm doing well. Excited. This has been a really good week in general, just for like my future planning and stuff like that. So good week for me in general. How you doing?
Great week, man. Great week. A lot of great conversation over in our Discord. Again, if you haven't already, it's free and open to everybody. Join our Discords. Just go to MicCheckWaifuWaifu.com, hit the About tab, and then press the Discord button. It's free to everybody, open to everybody to conversate. Anybody can make forums and have great anime conversations. There's a lot of great anime conversations going on especially this particular week, about a lot of anime episodes, because this week was kind of crazy as far as the anime episodes are concerned with a certain stuff. But it's been great, man. It's been a good time. And shout out to the producers who gets access to the topic weeb ideas from being a Patreon supporter at the producer tier. We got a lot of great topic ideas. We are going to incorporate those later next week, a couple of them. But this week, shout out to Dad Needs to Talk for dropping a gem on us that we're going to have a conversation that revolves around that a little bit later. But it's been great, man. A great week for anime, and a great week for just life. Life has been great. So, without further ado, let's do further. Mic Check Waifu Waifu is the anime podcast brought to you every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. CT. We start off with the usual, the ritual. What was your episode of the week this week, Till?
Jellyfish can't swim at night.
Great choice. I think that's going to be spoiler talk this week. That episode in particular, because it was another great conversation in our Discord about that particular episode. Very, very good episode. Yeah. Y'all know Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night is one of my favorites this season. So let's add that to the spoiler talk. My episode of the week this week is rather, I would say unique, but it's I think it's been my episode of the week before. But I'm going to have to go with A Condition Called Love. A Condition Called Love. Only because of reasons that we talked about last week in our spoiler chat, if you heard that. But mostly these conflicting feelings I have. So that's my episode of the week. Now,
all right.
Before we get into the what they used to call it, TOTS, this PlayStation podcast I used to listen to. Before we get into the topic of the show, I want to discuss a couple of things I watched new. Now,
okay, yeah.
Last week I did mention that I was updating my list and adding a couple of shows, right? The shows I added, I thought it was going to take me a few weeks to complete, but they didn't. They took me 2 days. And
that is
yeah. That is Archenemy and Hero. That's one that I finished. I talked about last week. That one, it was okay. It was super mediocre. Very much deserves the rating it got, which was a 70% on Annulus. Archenemy to Hero. Good premise. Kind of a failure of an execution, only because you could tell there was supposed to be more. But it came out in 2013. There hasn't been any more. So it's pretty much one of the, what we always like to reference, and that's Grimgar, Fantasy and Ash. Never to be completed show, unfortunately. But it was good. It's good. However, the other one I've worked on, which is one that's coming out next season, which is the summer season, is From Me to You. Kimi ni no Tokere, From Me to You. So this is on Netflix, actually. Well, you can watch it on Crunchyroll as well, but it's very low quality. It's like 480p and it's only subbed. Netflix has the upscale version and it's dubbed. So I watched season 1, 25 episodes, and season 2, which was 13 episodes, and it spanned 2 days.
You said it's For Me to You?
From Me to You.
From Me to You. All right. Because I remember you bringing it up. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So this is a shoujo slice of life anime that is okay. The first season was spectacular. It was great.
Phenomenal.
But you know what this is the biggest trope in this show is? It came out in 2009. So it was early shoujo slice of life anime. It was a year after Clannad. But the biggest trope, just one guess. What do we talk about in slice of life romance anime that is the biggest, what you think would be considered the biggest trope?
The little sister? I don't know. What would be the biggest problem here with this one? What anime did it?
Every slice of life you've ever watched.
With the build-up, maybe? I mean, it shouldn't be
misunderstandings.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You do always say misunderstandings.
It's always misunderstandings. It drives me fucking up a wall. However,
and it's the obvious misunderstandings. That's what you mean.
So obvious. But let me paint the picture for you, Till, which is I'm pretty okay at doing. Okay, so From Me to You, it stars this girl named Sawako. Her name is actually Sawako, but they call her Sadako, and Sadako is actually the girl's name from The Ring. Okay, because Sawako has the look of the girl from The Ring, long black hair, band covering her eyes, and she's always had trouble making friends in school. She's never had a friend in high school, up until high school, basically. at all, ever. Because she looks scary. So whenever she greets somebody, she tries to say hi, she tries to smile, but the way she smiles and she tries to, greet herself, it comes out creepy because of her look. It's like these creepy smiles. It's the funniest thing ever. And it's adorable. Right. She is, and I say this with my whole heart, the purest, most sweetest character of all of anime. She's even sweeter than Komi Can't Communicate. She's just the sweetest fucking character of all time. Like the perfect, like just pure-hearted girl. She understands that she seems creepy, and she understands that this is all misunderstandings with how they feel about her and what she tries to accomplish. She just can't help it. So she was okay. She was used to being ignored. She was used to being the outcast. And slowly, she was walking to school one day and she saw a guy who looked like he was lost heading to school. She greets him and she says, if you're going to our same high school, it's that way. And she points him in the right direction. And he thanked her. And that was the first person that had ever thanked her. That's never ran from her. That's never screamed. That's never like it was the first person that ever thanked her. And she had this gorgeous smile on her face. She was so happy about it. But long story short is that she tries to become friends with people, fails miserably. He becomes friends with her, but he's like the Prince Charming of the school. Like everybody loves this guy. Like he's absolutely like just a cool guy that everybody is friends with. No matter what. Now he's not like the jock type cool, but he's just a cool dude. Everybody is his friend. So they relationship starts to build. She becomes friends with these two other girls who starts to understand where she's coming from and who she is, and they realize how pure of heart that she is, and they're just loving her. But the first season was spectacular in building up those relationships, building up those friendships. Even not necessarily leaning into the romance fully yet, because obviously she doesn't understand what romance is yet. And it's all just great stuff. Basically, it's messy. It's very messy. People spreading rumors, lies and stuff. It's a great show. I will say this though. The second season is where the romance is in full swing. And when I tell you it is the most fucked up misunderstandings of all time, only because she lacks the ability to communicate properly, because it's the first time she's had real friends or developed any type of social relationship, period. And it's frustrating, like hair pulling frustrating. I'm sitting there like, stop, just stop. Like it was pissing me off. However, usually when I say that, when shows invoke this emotion of anger and frustration, that means that I'm invested. And if I'm invested, that means they're doing a hell of a job of conveying these feelings. I think this is a show you should watch, so you can be ready for season 3. I know it's a lot. It's dubbed. You can watch it on Netflix. It's an easy thing to pull up. I think you should definitely watch it though, so we can watch season 3 together and talk about it, because I would love to see what happens in season 3. Season 3, what seems like it'll be the perfect continuation of the buildup of what happened in season 2. I love it.
Well, yeah, I was looking and I'm like, well, wait, is season 3 the next season that's coming out, or is it season 4?
Season 3 is the next season that comes out, and I think. Oh
yeah, season 3 is the 2024 ONA. Yeah. Hear me out. While you were talking about it, I was like, I feel like Polo gonna ask me to watch this one, or say I should watch this one.
You should.
Because the way you talked about it is, I'm not gonna say as highly regarded, but you talked about it in a way that made me watch Quintessential Quintuplets.
Okay. So okay. I like that you brought that up, because the gauge is different, right? The gauge is very different because they're two different shows. This one is more, it's going to sound like a slight to it, because it's not. So just take what I'm saying with a grain of salt specifically, but it's more immature than Quintessential Quintuplets, right? Like that situation was a more mature situation. This is a situation to where somebody that ain't never had no friends before is now getting friends, and then the communication that happens, and then somebody becoming jealous of that of her getting this relationship with this guy that like there's
pettier.
Yes, there's a lot of pettiness to it, but I will say this: the comedy is great. I absolutely love the comedy. I'm chuckling a bit. Now it's not laughing. I'm not belly laughing. I'm chuckling a bit at some of the situations of her, trying to greet people randomly, or how people looking at her and seeing her because she just looks with all this hair and she's walking it's just adorable. It's adorable. And like I said, she's again one of the best female characters I think ever because of how so I'm gonna give you an example. So
all right.
One girl tells her she should take advantage of her scariness because they have like a what's that scare thing coming up? A scare trial, whatever. And what she decides to do, she says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna lean in it. So maybe this will help me make friends." She then goes to the forest in which they're doing this little scare test thing. I forget what they call it, test of courage, where they're doing the test of courage, and she's dressed in an all-white dress, and she's trying to be it, quote unquote, as creepy as possible because she's playing into the fact that people are scared of her. Like she's doing that just to make friends, just so they can have fun, just so they can be scared. And it's just stuff like that where she's so considerate of others that it's a great story. Like I felt, you know what it is? I grew attached.
Yeah. Watching
it. And I grew attached watching it like I was spending these years and these months enjoying their story. Like I was invested. I felt like I was in that fucking school. Like it was great. It's a great immersive story. Hard to put down.
Here we are.
Hard to put down, yeah. But it's not like a 10 out of 10, right? Like if I had to give it a rating off top, I will say maybe a 7.58. Like it's not a 10 out of 10. Perfect. It's not my teen romantic comedy.
Yeah, but 7.5 is still good.
Right, exactly. It's a good show. Like borderline great. I really do like these characters. Like I love them all. It's just the frustration I have with season 2 is where I like clench my fist and grind my teeth because it's like, yo, it's so fucking obvious. Like it's somebody says like, hey, I'm not even gonna say it, but it's just that obvious. Like it's just that obvious how simple and a miscommunication everything is that it's hard. And also it's due to outside forces too, like influences that makes it a little bit harder for the communication to even reach each other. So it's a tough situation, but a really great show nonetheless. Sorry to drone on about it, but I really want people to watch it so we can watch season 3.
Well, I mean, here we are. Like I said, I'm gonna watch it.
You got time, plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. And I'm gonna report back and see what that season 2 is really for.
Yeah,
I feel like you just talked me into it because it sounded a lot to me like that episode when you convinced me to watch Quintessential Quintuplets,
which is great. I'm glad you did.
So here we are, and I'll watch it. I already added it to my watching list.
Perfect. So it'll show up.
We got it.
Amazing. Anything you want to add before we get to the main topic?
Nah, bro. I want to talk about the topic.
Let's get it to the topic of the show. Now, as I keep mentioning, sorry for repeating myself, but I would like to emphasize the importance of joining the Discord because this is how these conversations happen. Dad Needs to Talk, a producer of the show, supporter of the podcast, a great friend of ours, has a great podcast himself called self-titled Dad Needs to Talk. Solo show, great stuff. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. He drops in the Go Loser Ranger forum channel of our Discord. And he said, and I'll read it verbatim. He says, and I quote, I don't have my glasses, so let me get a little closer. This show falls into the same bucket that Undead Unluck and Shangri-La Frontier does, where I was excited for the animated release and for it to be the show to get y'all into it. But each of them ends up not being y'all thing due to the pacing or personal taste. But then I remember that for each of them, I got to binge like 50 plus chapters for my experience. So I know that a lot of things y'all say are y'all wanting are coming, like the darker tone and Go Loser Ranger. But knowing that y'all are going week to week for these series that I love is saddening. It's just always It's just always interesting having to keep context of how I might experience a series versus others. Moments that I experience in a weekend or shorter, or a shorter time back to back, y'all get dragged over 3 to 6 months, depending on how the number of the episodes is that season. And he says that because like Go-Go Loser Ranger is just, it fell off for me. Obviously, I completely dropped it. I'm done with it. I'm probably not going to go back. I stopped at episode 5 to be specific, but I'm probably not going to go back. But I'm just want to continue with this too, because I think this is important too. TCB responds to that and says, "This is literally me with Demon Slayer and keeping it related to Loser Ranger, except." Oh, he put in parentheses, keep it to, related to Loser Ranger, except the one that has been handled, that one has been handled excellently. Just more of the knowing of what to expect and having to temper that compared to those who haven't read. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where anime pacing isn't hitting the way the manga would, or for some, I can say that being a deterrent for the overall enjoyment. And then I replied, sorry for the back and forth again. Right. And as I said on the show, it's not like I don't think it'll pay off, because I do. I think it'll actually turn out to be a good show in the end, unlike a Ninja Kamui. But I don't have the patience for that right now. I also mentioned that this is exactly how I feel with Mission Yozakura Family. Like I had to stop. I stopped watching Mission Yozakura Family because I would rather binge it, because I think that's a better way of enjoying the show. While I don't think it's a bad show, I don't have the patience to do the minute stories they put in between the major story beats in Mission Yozakura Family, like they did in the manga. Like it's very manga accurate, but it just don't feel right in the show form because we're week to week. Like it's dragging right now, especially since they have 27 episodes. So it's very intentional.
Well, what I think a lot of this comes down to, right, is how episodes pay off in that time frame, right? You say this a lot. You like when anime respect your time. Mm-hmm. And even though we might love a series like Mission Yozakura Family, yep, does it feel like it's respecting our time right now?
Sadly.
Not in particular when you add in all that extra front-loaded BS that, like, it's cool. It's nice to have the context, but maybe we want that in a different place in the show. And when Polo brought this like topic to me, because I be like an absentee parent in the Might Check Waifu forum.
Gotta change.
I'm trying to get there, but I immediately thought about a thought that I had when I was watching Demon Slayer, and I think about this contextually because we're talking about before this season started, how people said, "Oh, well, this is the shortest arc. I don't know how they're gonna do this. This arc got to be only 8 episodes because it's the shortest arc. How are they gonna make this stretch into a regular season?" And I was watching this episode and I completely forgot about time.
Yes,
I forgot about time, right? And then we got that scene where Tandro is like smiling in the sky and the camera pans over his head, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this scene is beautiful, bro." And I thought about it, I was like, "Oh, they stretching this shit." They're stretching the anime right now because they have to, they want to fill in the spots of the season. But here's what I was talking about is the payoff. Had I not known that this season was going to be shortened because, or it might be short because this part of in the manga is really short, I would have never even thought about that. To me, this episode was basically perfect. Yep. And then I had that thought and I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a 9.5 out of 10 because I had that thought. But I think if I had never even known that this season was shorter, if I had no prior context, and that's what it is the tempering of those expectations that we have, I would have thought this episode was perfect for Demon Slayer because it was so good in terms of like storytelling, development, and watching the Demon Slayer core do their thing and all that stuff in the training. I was like, yo, this is a really good episode. I really enjoyed this. But I had that thought and it was like, I just let knowledge, the fact that I know something or I was told something deter me from how great this episode was. And I do think that is kind of how it is when we watch these anime week to week, and it's not letting us get those, like, you know, because we might binge something otherwise. I think that's how it is, especially when, like, Dad needs to talk saying, I love Go Loser Ranger. I'm enjoying it personally. But yeah, it's 100% accurate that it's kind of like right now. It's okay. I thought some interesting stuff happened this week, but it's still just okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very. Oh, you know who said it perfectly, and I just remember this. It was another producer. It was Rob Stone. He said it on our YouTube channel. Oops, I'm on the wrong YouTube channel. And this is particular to Go Loser Ranger. I don't know how y'all come up with these. Maybe y'all got more time to think than we do, because we, to be honest, we be kind of flowing off the dome with some of this. But let me just go to the comment he put, because I think it's, yeah, here it is. It's brilliant. Like, it's absolutely brilliant what he said. Again, I don't have my glasses, so let me scoot in. He says, Loser Ranger, I agree. The pacing is weird. Your conversation got me thinking about the plot itself so far. It has jumped around every couple of episodes. Pretend to be a ranger, and break in, change plan, team up to get the artifacts, change plan, hide in the woods, change plan, back to pretend to be a ranger. Now go do an exam arc with new supporting characters. If they swapping those around so that we've met the guys in the first infiltration and the artifacts plan came afterwards, I might care more about this training. But right now, I don't either. Like, he don't care. He's sticking with it though, because he also think it'll pay off. But like that. This was so well written, because my thought was like, that's exactly what's happening. It's like a bunch of shows in one. Like, you got the seriously the dark tone where after he steals the artifact and the Rangers are meeting with each other and they killed a guy. And it was fucking dope. And then you meet Fighter D and he's like, no, yo, fuck this fake shit. I really want to fight.
I want smoke.
Yeah. And it's like, it got so annoying because what it is like they're in their own way, because that's forest scene, and when they were in the woods and they did all that trickery and shit, and that the whole dark comment about him, doing this for his family or whatever the case may be. I want people to live in peace or whatever, whatever that part of the story was. That part, in the moment where he tricked them and then infiltrated again, that part was dope. And then now that he's infiltrated, it's fucking ass. It's like, it's actually bad. Like the exam arc and the forcing of these supporting characters on us. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad pacing. And again, I know that it's going to pay off. I think this show is going to be good. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this show is going to turn out to be great in the end, but it's not a good show when you're watching it week to week. Now, to go back to something you said, and I thought this was very poignant, because for me, when I was watching Demon Slayer, every time I watch Demon Slayer, episodes fucking fly by. They go by so fast to the point where I'm like, this show is just incredible, because I'm in it. And maybe it's because I'm captivated by the way it looks, and then the way they're telling the story piece by piece. I'm just enthralled with it. I think that it's better that and I think that since we started this podcast, it's been better for us to watch stuff week to week like this, because it gives us time to digest, to sit with certain shows. Now, because I'm sitting with Demon Slayer, I got time to digest Windbreaker. And because I got time to digest Windbreaker, I got time to digest Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night. So it gives me time to kind of, the word I hate, compartmentalize. Yeah, that. It gives me time to do that with these shows and separate it and think about it and enjoy it a lot more than I would if I would just binge them straight through, like I did for Me to You, even though I enjoyed all of that. It's a different feeling that I enjoy. Now, to go to expectations, being a manga reader is tough. It's not tough. It's easier to enjoy something when you're reading it, because you have your imagination. You have the ability to go through this exam arc in Go Loser Ranger in 20 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Or it's hyperbole, obviously, but in like 20 minutes, you're done with the exam arc and you're back to the dark stuff, and your imagination is running wild with how it feels, the aura, the music, the atmosphere. I mean, you have time to sit with that. I think that's honestly a better way. Now, you can have stuff that is adapted well, right? Michiyo's core family. It's adapted extremely well from the manga, but it just don't adapt well. Does that make sense? Like it's adapted well, but it don't adapt well.
And adaptations, I think this is interesting. Like I said, this is why I think the topic is so interesting, because Netflix also does this in a very similar way. Some series, they'll drop 6 episodes and make you wait, and then they'll drop another 6 episodes. If, let's say, for instance, this was something that was split up in cores, and they dropped the first core of Go-Go Loser Ranger, the first 6 episodes of it, we watched that. That's something to binge, and to be able to digest that 6 episodes might be amazing for the palate, and saying, you know what, it was dark, it was lighthearted, it was fast paced, action oriented. We got some story drivenness, and then boom, we at the end of this half, right before they start the training. Then we started again into the training, and it ends on something dark. That would feel like almost rewarding in a sense, and it is exactly what it is. It's the pacing, bro. And it's the issue with the pacing is that the delivery on how we're getting it. It's 100% the fact that if we were binging this, Go-Go Loser Ranger would probably be a little bit better. And it's just the fact that because we don't have to, we sitting through the fluff still, but we know there's more to come. Right now we're like, bro, when do we get to the actual good part? And it's not to say that this stuff isn't good, but it won't feel good, so to speak, until we get to the actual, like, you know, the developmental, what happened, what's the fruit of this labor, essentially.
Which Dad needs to talk.
Go ahead.
Which Dad needs to talk in TCB already been through. They got through those 10 chapters or whatever that was in a heartbeat. Like it was nothing. And we talked about it with Shangri-La too. Shangri-La was ruined by that pacing. It was absolutely ruined. A good thing ruined. And it's sad to see, man, because and he said, I'm also going to stop recommending stuff. I wish you don't. I don't think you do that. Definitely don't do that. Because of, like, wow, English. We're not going to judge you for recommending something that it doesn't sit right with us, because I do think your recommendations are spot on to what we like. The problem is just that the way it's adapted to the anime. It's not your fault, right? Like if the manga is good, hey, let us know the manga is good. The show's probably hopefully is going to be good. Like, but I said this, and I think it was Dad Needs to Talk or TCB one. I think it was TCB, but somebody mentioned how Freerun is adaptability is just perfect. How that is adapted brilliantly. So, is it excusable for the adaptation to be so rough? Because of the fact that you know that when you binge it is going to be better. Like, is that acceptable? You know?
I think that there are some stories that just translate better to a week-to-week understanding, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because Freerun, although it was very much so like, it was encounter of the week, so to speak. Like you're meeting a person, and then you have this developmental period with that person.
Indeed.
All of that was concise and very to the point. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So let's say that was 8 chapters. They were able to break that down so well into a single episode, that it did not feel like the pacing could have ever been anything different. Whereas some things, like you might have 4 chapters that get translated to an anime, right? Mm-hmm. And that first episode might have been so detailed, so you're trying to think about, okay, well, what part of this episode can I actually keep? And things like Freerun, they're so concise the whole way through that there is no misunderstanding to be had.
Yeah.
And I think that has to come down to the writing and sometimes even the type of anime it is. Go Loser Ranger suffers from the type of anime it is.
Yes.
That's what Frieren is a story driven. Like if this were a Fable book, it would make sense as Frieren.
And that's how I feel like it was written.
Yeah, but Go Loser Ranger is not written in that manner.
That's true. I think, oh, dude, you spitting, because I think, let's go back to Mission Yozakura Family. What if it was just the story beats that we know was going to happen? Obviously, Taiyo in his situation, and he gets with the family, and then he learned about his family. What if it was all of that straight through, right? None of the little training beats, maybe that could have been done in the episode in a montage form or whatever. But the training beats are being thrown in every episode, and the episodes are split up into halves. Like the training arc is inside of a main story piece. A main story piece is fucking a pinch small. You know what I'm saying? It's tiny. What if they took all of that out and then just made it the main story beats? You know what would happen? The fan base would lose their fucking mind, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a damned if they do, damned if they don't kind of situation. At least for us in particular, who is very particular with our time, right? Like very particular with our time. So it's a damned if they do, damned if they don't kind of situation. Because if they do that, then they getting fucking grilled on Twitter of all the Taiyo fucking anime avies, or they're getting grilled like this isn't what happened in the manga. They cut out so much in the manga, blah 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 blah. Like it's gonna be a bunch of that bullshit. But the story will be concise. It'll feel more streamlined. It'll feel better to just enjoy. It'll be 12 episode. It'll be a 12 episode season probably into the next season. But I'll be okay with that. And then, like, I guess now that it's been adapted perfectly, even with those little interruptions that they have, even in the manga, like the exact same way they are in the show, it don't feel as clean. Because in a manga, they're like 3 pages. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and let me tell you how I think they can fix that. I think they should do the same exact thing that How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift did.
Okay, what they do?
At the end of every episode, they gave you exercises that were oriented to the episode. So they could do things like, let's say they run the episode and let's go to the very beginning where he had to train in the house, right?
Yep.
They could have sped that little portion up specifically in the moment in the episode, right? Mm-hmm. Where he's training, boom, boom, boom. We got a quick montage of what's happening, but make it very understandable. He's training in this moment. And then you can go at the end of the episode, and I wouldn't even say specifically that one, because I think that one's a lot more of an important training part.
Yeah.
Where they could have kept that one, but I'm just saying that this could be used as a reference. Yep. And then at the end of the episode, after you done ran the minute and a half outro, give us a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes tops of expounding on that actual training for the people who were there in the manga and do still want to see it, because it still has a place there. We're not saying to take it out. We're saying reorient it in a way that makes the story make sense. Don't give me a 5-minute video game training montage in the middle of him actually supposed to be training to protect the head of the house.
Right.
It's a problem. That's a problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
You feel me? And then go right back to the show like nothing ever happened. No.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. And even though I really do enjoy the show, even still, that felt disjointed. Am I wrong?
No.
Like, you know what I mean? So had they given us like, boom, he trained like this for 30 seconds and then gave us the remaining, I don't even care, bro. Just move it to the end of the show. The remaining 4.5 minutes of that cutout, you know what I mean? It would have flown so much better, to the point to where I wouldn't mind watching that
100%.
remaining part of that training, because that was supposed to be there, and it makes it more interesting to expound on something that was already seen but not given too much context on.
Exactly. Now that's different. I want to make it clear that's different than the Shangri-La Frontier mini theater bullshit they did. Like this is actually a piece of the story that matters, right? Like in a small sense, because what they're doing is they're basically showing like these small instances of him doing stuff with the Yozakura family that are silly, spy stuff, right? It's supposed to be fun. And they are fun, right? But what that shows why Taiyo is having this growth and like his ability to perform as a spy, right? Like you seeing him gradually grow and get better, and his reflexes get better, and all because of his daily life is changing, and they're showing the parts of his daily life and while living with this family is evolving him. It's great. I love it. But the problem is when you have that gap, like you said, that half of when he's following the guy with the sword around and he's getting sliced up and he's learning that, cool. But then it goes to something else completely different that feels so off-putting and out of left field that it just don't flow, like you were saying.
Right.
It's a issue. Now, here's the thing. To go to what TCB mentioned, how he's having this trouble with Demon Slayer. We don't have this trouble because we didn't read it. I think we benefit from shows like this not reading them. And I know that's kind of blasphemy in the anime community because manga sales are what keep these studios going, right? Like manga sales are the reason why the anime gets made, and the anime is not where the money comes in. It's the manga sales. So like, I know it's hard to hear this, but I do think people that read Demon Slayer may have suffered because I don't know, from just seeing the way TCB type about it, it seems like he hated the entertainment district. Like that entertainment district was fantastic. Like it was a great art. It wasn't just beautiful. It was great storytelling. It was great evolution. It was all around great. But because he read it and it's different from how he read it, he's suffering. And that, I just think, I kind of feel bad. I feel bad for both Dad Needs to Talk and TCB, because Dad Needs to Talk gets excited about what he reads and he wants to share it with us, which we absolutely love. And TCB gets disappointed about what he sees after he's read something. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And it kind of reminds me of what's going on with My Hero. Very left field. And it just popped in my head just now. But every time I watch My Hero,
you want to turn it off more and more.
I hate saying stuff like this because I know the community hates me for it, and that's how we be getting negative reviews on podcasting services. Make sure y'all rate us if y'all haven't already. We would appreciate it. Good reviews. But I forget that I watch My Hero every single week. For some reason right now, I'm not enjoying it at all. And I do feel like it's because I don't have a reason to talk to you about it, because you already know. It's never fun to have a conversation with somebody who's read something who knows the answer basically.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. I'm not going to try and gaslight you into saying it's not that.
That's literally what it is. Honestly,
the episode was trash, in my opinion.
But it's supposed to have these it's supposed to have these emotional effects, and there's stuff happening. Stuff is moving. It's not slow whatsoever. I just don't care.
It could be because of exactly what you just said. I already read it, so I've seen this.
Yep,
what's happening right here, right? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I did want to hear what you thought about it.
It's because it's like stuff is happening, right? Like it's next episode supposed to be this big battle, even though it's 21 episodes in a season. You're not fooling me. I'm not a doofus now. I know obviously it's not going to be
about to be 21 episodes. What you mean?
I know this is not going to be the end of the series right here with this fight, but I just don't care. I don't know why I don't care no more.
It's close. I think it's one chapter away. Huh? This is around the corner from the end. This is almost there.
Oh, really?
Almost there, bro.
That's actually crazy.
This is literally depending on where this season ends, the next season is the last season.
That's crazy. Okay. Wow.
Because this is literally right there.
Interesting thought. Okay. All right. Maybe that gets me a little bit more excited, but
And that's good news in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie to you, because
I'm ready for it to end.
Yeah, Gumbo Goon, he been spitting facts that I also agree with. This needs to stop now.
Yeah, I'm about over it too. I just don't care. Like even though stuff is happening, it's like big deal shit, right? Like it's fucking All For One is right there, or Sugar Rocket is right there. Like it's all this big shit that's supposed to be happening. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I can give a fuck less. Like it's crazy how much I don't care. I care more about grandma and grandpa turn young again this week than I did. Oh, I had more sadness than that.
How you get bothered when I bring up Hamtaro?
Yeah,
that is how I feel about grandma and grandpa.
Dude, it was such a sad episode though. I love this.
It's not that it's not good, bro. I promise it's not that.
It's so sad. But listen, I'm looking forward to it to be an end. I just know that Dad Needs to Talk. Your recommendations are always, I see why you recommend them. They're always on point. Like I couldn't agree more that Go-Go Loser Ranger is not going to be a bad show. I do believe that from my heart of hearts, it's not going to be a bad show. I do believe that your perspective, though, coming from a manga reader, kind of skews your bias a little bit more towards favoriting even when it's bad. So try to take and I say this, and I'm not saying this to you, Dad Needs to Talk, but I'm saying this to anybody who feels the way he feels, is always try to take a step back from your manga, try to take a step back from your anime. So for instance, like if we were to read Demon Slayer and it comes out different than what we've watched, we are going to be able to separate compartmentalize the shows, and separate them so that we don't have these strong biases one way or another, right? I think if you just take a step back and look at it objectively, like the show, this is the show. I'm watching the show. This is the manga. I read the manga. Even if you took 20 minutes to read all the entire arc of this tournament shit going on in the Go-Go Loser Ranger, take a step back and look at how Go-Go Loser Ranger Weekly just feels off. It just feels off. It's just what it is. And again, I'm using Dad Needs to Talk as an example, but I think this is for everybody, including you, TCB, with Demon Slayer. Take a step back. Watch the show for the show. You read the manga for the manga. Separate them.
We do got to finish a certain manga about an alien that was being dated.
Shit, yeah, you're right.
Because that apparently just ended.
Yes, okay, it ended.
And I think we should eventually do a binge. And then maybe even a review, a manga review, binge it and review it.
It's only 23 chapters. I like that. I like that idea because it's short.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's going to come later. We're going to set a date for that probably. All right, Tel, what we spoiling?
All right, so we already know Jellyfish can't swim.
Yes.
Let's see. Well, we don't have to spoil Yatagarasu. I just want to throw in an honorable mention.
Okay. We can throw in an honorable mention.
Yatagarasu.
Yes, let's do that.
I'm loving that show.
And then let's do gut checks for Windbreaker. Where we think that's going to go now that this art is done.
Windbreaker? All right.
Windbreaker, yeah. All right. We're going to take this quick break. I'm going to go use the potty. We'll be right back. I don't know why I put it in there like y'all even need to know. We'll be right back after these.
Hoje aqui no baile o bonde veio assim, taradão e bolado pra tacar o piru aí. Vou te pegar vodka pra boi, explodir teu negócio todinho. Vou te pegar vodka pra boi, explodir teu negócio todinho.
desce, sobe. No baile desce, sobe, desce, sobe. No baile do Elipa, desce, sobe, desce, sobe. No baile desce, sobe, desce, sobe. No baile.
Você quer, você quer pra mim, você quer, você quer pra mim, você quer, você quer paga pra mim.
Hoje aqui no baile o bonde veio assim, taradão e bolado pra tacar o piru aí. Vou te pegar vodka, papo, explodir teu negócio todinho. Vou te pegar vodka, papo, explodir teu negócio todinho. Vou explodir teu negócio todinho. Vou explodir teu negócio todinho. Vou explodir teu negócio todinho.
And welcome back to episode 256 of Mic Check Waifu. You know, the topic we just had from Danny, I think we need to have him on an episode with that topic specifically.
Yeah.
Because I think hearing his perspective and what he would have to say would be cool. But I digress. I just thought about that literally just now. All right, welcome to the spoiler half of the show where we're going to spoil episode 9 of Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night. Actually, we decided to throw in episode 8 of Jobless Reincarnation, season 2, part 2, and Yatagarasu, which was episode 9, and Windbreaker, episode 9. I'm going to do a good check for that as well. Where do you want to start?
Let's do Jellyfish.
Okay. Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night. Episode 9 was
transformative.
I was just about to say a turning point. Both mean the exact same thing. Yeah, it's a turning point. It's massive, man. It's unfortunate that it turned out this way. We talked about it in the Discord. I had to create a whole form for it. But let me start here. As soon as Kano, or however you say it, whispered, "Oh, you're going to go meet her." And I said this in our Discord. Mm-hmm. As soon as she whispered, "Oh, you're going to go meet her,"
pause it.
she knew that her mom was going to slick talk her way into some bullshit with Yaru. Mm-hmm. And it's so unfortunate because we talked about this in the last section, but it's a huge misunderstanding. While you may feel different than me, I hate her mother. Her mother is doing this out of spite. You could tell. I do think maybe she believes that Yoru art can, reach the world, quote unquote, but she's doing it. It brings me back to the face that her mother made after Kano knocked out the little girl, right? Mm-hmm. After she did that, the face she made was like, "Oh, you trying to ruin me? You trying to ruin my dream? Okay, I got you." And how she just basically shut her shit down, her own daughter, and just treat her not like she's her daughter anymore. Like, it's conniving. It's
manipulative.
It's a terrible feeling. Yoru, and I think TCB said it perfect. She's a young, impressionable girl who really sees this as an opportunity to get better, but she also, and it's okay. This is twofold, Till. This is twofold because it's both Kano fault and it's both Yaru fault. Mostly her mother, right? Her mother for manipulating Yaru into believing like, this is what I want to do for you. This is what you could do with your art. Blah blah blah. All that sweet talk, that nectar, that producer nectar she's feeding her. And then you got Kano, who should have just told the truth in the big fucking beginning. And then at the start, just got it all on the table with all the girls. Like, look, this is what my mother did. This is why I don't fuck with her. This is the type of person she is. Then if Yaru had that conception, that notion of what her mother is, she could have then undoubtedly denied this art, because it's like, yo, no, me and my girls are working on something because of what you did to her. And I'm not, and this is my best friend. I'm not going to fuck her over like that. But because she don't actually know, and I had to put that in perspective for myself, because she didn't actually know what exactly happened, she just sees us as an opportunity, even though she know they don't get along, but for why she don't know. Like, right. It's a fucked up situation, a big, huge miscommunication, I would say, other than outside of a misunderstanding. It's a miscommunication type thing here.
Yeah. And this is, like you said, what happens in every slice of life, and miscommunications and misunderstandings that could easily be resolved with conversation. And that's what kind of sucks about this specific scenario. It almost makes it feel real too, because everything before this, they kind of talked about, bro.
Yep.
Like any kind of disagreements, and they've gotten to this point, and it was like, what, the last 2 episodes, they had this really like strong bond, especially close to the end of the episodes. And then we get here and it's like you said, turning point, like I was saying, transformative. It changes the dynamic a bit, because we don't know going into the next episode really where everything lies.
I think TCB got it perfectly. He said from Kano's perspective, emotions ran high, and now knowing that she has abandonment issues and feels she was responsible for ruining her mom's dream, I saw the boiling point come from a mile away. But I had no problem with how the trope was played out. It was delivered well. I agree. I mean, as far as a story beat goes, it was delivered. All this was delivered excellently, brilliantly. And it's so frustrating because it was so well done that I'm invested now, and it sucks.
But that's why this episode was episode of the week, and not because it was so done well that I'm invested now, because I've been invested. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But what they did so well was that it was this very happy-go-lucky, very like girly friendship, love,
success,
and building up. And I'm just like, I like this. They're aiming for a goal. They're all like-minded and driving towards it. And even when they're not like-minded, we can see the quirkier mindsets and what's happening. They did a very good job of what a lot of anime don't do, building up your characters around this point, and then getting to a point to where there is an actual dynamic shift.
Yeah.
And that's why this episode to me was so good. It was so good because of that actual like leaning into, okay, now we're going to jump into the actual meat and potatoes of the issues. And this is a bigger issue because essentially the two main reasons that there's even a group at this point could be a feud.
Yeah, you got to think like it's when you look at it from Kano's perspective, it's fucked up to just feel like, listen, like and this might sound selfish, and she did. It's kind of sound selfish, but it was all understandable because like I'm the reason why we all did this together. I'm the reason why your art is even being shown. Like, we decided to do this together. Let's grow this together. Let's do this as a team together, as we said we was this entire time. Now you're literally going to go and essentially go. It wasn't necessarily behind her back because she called her and warned her, which then that was Kano Thompson then let her know, like, listen, I don't think this is a good idea. Hey, let's talk about this first. That when she was on the phone, instead of shutting down, she should have just told her everything right then and there, even though she said she would have preferred to do it in person. If she would have did that before her mom got to Yoru, it would have been a whole different conversation we having right now. But her frustration and like TCB said, her abandonment issues, it's all warranted. It's all warranted. I'm not mad at her for getting that mad.
And she's a child. She's not an adult yet. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She's not someone who who can actually sit down and I mean, she could, right?
And process what happened. True.
But she's not a person who's had the experience of sitting down and processing something like this.
That's a fact.
So we're looking at this at children deal with a very serious situation where an adult is manipulating the situation, right?
Yeah.
Someone who has the experience, someone who holds the keys, right, so to speak. And that sucks because it literally has now at this point become the one who's supposed to protect one is creating the tension and issue, which happens in everyday life. But the principle is that it's such a good driving character point because this is developmental. It can be developmental for both characters, but now it puts our MC or one of our MCs in a spot where she has to deliberate and decide, do I choose this form of growth or do I have to find another form of growth? Which I feel like it's obvious that we know what she'll end up choosing. But the point is how we get there. And this episode was a phenomenal episode. It's a 10 out of 10 episode in my opinion, bro. This episode was crazy.
It was so good. Like, and when you look at it, you always have to take a step back from the perspective of the two characters' separate perspectives. And I think if you're not really paying attention that well, it can get lost, right? If you don't understand that Yaru doesn't really know the story between her and her mom, then if you think about it from that perspective, you think Yaru didn't do anything wrong. If you look at it from Kano's perspective, Yaru is a fucking asshole, right? Like it's just, and like when you take a step back from that moment, like nobody is wrong in this situation per se,
right?
But everybody's wrong in this situation. Right?
Because no one's talking.
Because no one talked, bro.
The mom could be letting people know, Yara and Kano, they could be, you know what I mean? There's so much communication to be had, but no one's talking.
Nobody talked. If Kano told Yaru the situation, there'd be no way in hell I believe that Yaru would be like, yeah, I want to accept this. Like, she probably wouldn't even fucking went to meet her in the first place. Like, it would have been
this point.
No, and she would have been like, no, I'm not. No, because I can't do that to her after what you've done to her. And it would feel like a betrayal because they don't know that the reason why she's starting Jelly was to try to get her mom to notice her and to surpass her mom and to complete her mom's dream even without her mom's help. Like, it's just so much that the other girls don't necessarily know. They just think it's just for Kano's sake, I guess.
Time.
Yeah, to pass time or her want, right? Her dream. It's not necessarily the fact that with her, the mother situation is involved. She didn't say shit about that at all to none of them. While everybody else was, and I think TCB mentioned this too, and Saphir also mentioned this too, but while they were all starting to come together and actually talk more about their deepest, darkest feelings about how Yaro didn't want to do art and she hated herself for a second, and other girls with, you know, how she got bullied for her singing and she just wanted to play piano, and the girl for being a neat or shut in or whatever. Like everybody else deepest, darkest points are out except for Kano's. And that kind of fucked up the entire thing because she don't know what the fuck is going on. So she's thinking this is an opportunity. You know, they don't get along, but she don't know why. I guess it's frustrating, but it's a good frustration because I'm invested. I love these characters.
Yes.
I kind of wish it gets even messier.
No. Because I kind of do too, but I want these little girls to just be happy together.
Me too.
But if it went to like the routes where, you know, maybe she don't choose her friends over the mom, that could be the mess. That could be the messiest. All right, let's not wish that on these little girls. Let's just
big true. All right. Let's throw in some Yatagarasu real quick.
All right, bro. The politics here, bro. That's what's driving me on this show.
It's the best. It's some of the best. Now, I do want to mention that I do think, not to toot my own horn. Okay. I do think my method of where the show's going to go is going to be the way, opposed to yours and Frozen's. another one of our Patreon producers, because I don't see a major war breaking out with this, right? I definitely still do see just a bunch of fucking moving pieces, especially with what we got with the North House, I believe she is, dipping the fuck out, exposing the truth, even though the prince himself is like, I don't know if that's the truth. That part was interesting when she's exposed the truth to the other girls, other ladies on the houses. I'm like, damn, that makes sense, because the prince was talking about how it's somebody there that's trying to kill him, and it's probably one of them. And then we figure out, yeah, it's the girl in the north. Oh, but is it? And that's when I'm like, oh,
but
shit.
Right. And to me, because the way she talked about it, right, she assumed that the prince knew that there was an assassin there.
Yep.
Which, right,
he did.
but that's not necessarily the only one. We know that there's multiple layers here. It might be 3 or 4 different groups of people trying.
She might have been planted by him. We don't even know.
Right. But what I also found so intriguing about this was just more communication about the world as well. Like the disarticulation, where they talk about removing the third leg while you're in your crow or raven form.
You can't change back.
So you can't change back. This world, the world is very
intriguing,
comparative to us, right? It's very comparative to us, but yes, it's intriguing in the sense of like how they handle like these kind of things and how like essentially some of these people are like horse slaves, you know what I mean? But the show just has that we're getting the layers, we're getting the conversation in the background. The last episode, even, we got more of that conversation where it's driven politically, and we can see like the brother has support. What almost seems comes from like all sides in a sense,
right?
But they still almost have like, and it's very interesting. It's like this duality where their allegiance isn't with the Kinu or the true Kinu, so to speak. But it still is, you know what I mean? Like everyone is still like it, you get this viability of like the loyalty could shift at any moment. And I feel like that's what's got me so like intrigued, that although you can see that the loyalty is like two-sided, like no one has a true like 100% loyalty to anything almost, so to speak, that the shift can be anywhere.
And I'm not going to say problem, because problem is a harsh term, because it's not that I have an issue with the show for this particular reason, but my gripe, a nitpick, I don't consider it to be a negative notion, right? Because I do believe that they will expose this. But my thing is, why? Why is it necessarily that they don't want the younger brother or the actual Kinu to be the one to be the emperor? Is it because of his uncontrollable nature? Like he can't be controlled? Like, is it because somebody wants to puppeteer the kingdom? Where is that? Why is that the main focus? As to making the older brother it? Because they didn't really give a reason, right?
I don't think they gave a full reason, but I think they said 2 different things. One was like what you just said, his nature. He is a person that is just kind of like they don't know what he's going to do. And then the other thing, because like they said that his actions could bring about like war, because he does not care, so to speak. At least that was one of the things that they spoke about. I think it was the brother and one other person.
That's what they're using to say that he doesn't deserve to be it, right? Like, but why?
Yeah, right.
You know?
And then the other reason was that some of them are still, because let's say technically how it's supposed to work is that if he were not born the true Kinu, right, he was just born like his brother, the brother would have been the one who would have succeeded and became the next, right? But because the younger brother is a true Kinu, at least this is a thing that they talked about, because that is an actual, but we don't know if like, because I imagine that some people are siding with the older brother for that purpose, but there could be more.
Yeah, but because like everything you're saying is absolutely correct. It's right on the money, but there's no why behind it. Like, what is the older brother better at doing that the younger brother isn't? If they're related, if they're both the same brother, do they both have the same? Like, I don't remember if they have the same mother or not. Like, I don't quite understand the parental connection here, because the main mother seems like she doesn't fucking like the younger son. Like, there's something with the younger son that she don't like. Maybe it's because he's a consort son or something like that. Somebody else's son, and that's why she want her son to be the one. Maybe that could be this. Maybe it's as simple as that. But with this show, ain't nothing simple. So I don't think that's necessarily quite.
It ain't nothing simple.
That's quite the reason. So it
ain't been simple yet.
It's tangentially very, very, like, there's no real reason as to why yet that has been exposed as to why this is, other than the simple surface level stuff they gave us that you so eloquently put. Like, it's more than, we know it's more than that. I need to know the more.
Well, they gonna give it to us eventually.
100%, which might even be next episode. So by the time we hear it might even already have it. So it's such a great show, because I'm also glad that the prince told Yukia to use your brain, use all of it, because he know it's something with Yukia that he could figure out some shit, which is something that they haven't utilized since episode like 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I need them to bring that back, have him use his brain again, and that strategic mind in a way that we know he can. That I'm looking forward to seeing. And
I do enjoy just the pure fact that they don't keep the camera, so to speak, on one character.
I see what
it does very much so. Like, it feels like a story that is multifaceted and dynamic because it's all over the place, but things are still happening. You know what I mean? It's following the actions, not necessarily just the story. So the show, it flows well for that. It feels like, and I'm not going to compare it to this per se, but you know how, like, let's say you watching a short burst of Game of Thrones. Where, you know how, like, they're following a character, but then you jump to another character where something else in the Westeros or whatever is happening, but it's in parallel to what they're currently doing.
Absolutely,
that's what it feels like, and I feel like this is actually working extremely well for the political climate and context of the show. So bro, that it's carrying it for that.
Do you think the gardener was the one that got killed?
Nah, I think it was what was his name? Kazuma. I think it was Kazuma.
That's the gardener.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think it was Kazuma. Definitely think it was Kazuma.
Damn, I wish they would have showed who he was. I don't think it was, though.
Well, so I thought that too.
Because they didn't show him.
Huh?
Because they didn't show him, right? So, like,
if you didn't see it on screen, then it didn't happen.
You know, rules of the screen.
And I agree with that, but I'm not sure. I'm saying it is that mostly because of the actions of the princess or consort, so to speak. But go ahead.
Let me tell you why it's not. Okay.
Go ahead.
It's good. This could be a good check. That's completely wrong. Christian in the Archivist, if you listen this far, please mark this down. I'm telling you it's not, because I do think when Yuki was talking to the prince and he said, he wanted me to grant his wish. Okay. I think his wish was to get somebody to fake that Kazumi or whatever the fuck his name was the one that went there and got killed. So then he can eventually take the lady of that house out of there and run away with her eventually. They wouldn't suspect him if they think he's dead.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think that's where that is. I don't think it was him. I think it was some thief, some actual thief or something like that. Because for one, he went to the wrong room, right? Like, the person who shouted him out was the lady in the other house. Well, I think that was all a part of the prince's plan to get her to be with her man in eventuality, even though she thinks it's him as well. Like, she also feel like it's Kazumi, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just play. And then like the prince is going to make that happen, make them be in love, make them fall in love or whatever. Now, I think this is where all the houses, like the house, the woman house stuff starts to fall into different lines, right? So the North, she isn't really the assassin, but there's something bigger with her and what she got going on. I think it's related to the prince being the one that set her there, or something with that. I think is deeper. I think the only one, and this was what I said, is this part is predictable. I think the only one that's there for legitimate reasons is the one in the pink.
Mm-hmm.
Very obvious that
the European looking one.
Very obvious that she's the one that he's going to pick. She's the one that they're childhood friends, like all that bullshit that they're trying to make it seem like, oh, she's blah, But dude, we said we won't make this quick. I do think this is a fucking fantastic show, but that's what I think about Kazumi. I don't think he's dead. I think it was all part of the plan.
I was gonna say, I think I can agree with you in that regard, because, and I'm not trying to drag it on much longer, but I can agree with it in a sense, and I say because he had a specific plan. He wasn't going to visit the actual house of the consorts until he had everything sorted out, so everyone could have their wishes, so to speak, and he did use that same terminology. Yep. So maybe that is the case. They
don't say anything for no reason.
At least they haven't yet.
At least not yet. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so moving on. Jobless Reincarnation. Episode 8. And hear me out. I'm still fucked up about him choosing to go. I'm still fucked up about it, because not listening to the man God, I do think, is the most terrible decision you could possibly do. Only because of the fact that the man God has never been wrong. And I think we keep being reminded of the fact that everything that the man God said was factually came true, and it benefited Rudy to the best of his ability. Man God told him to come to the school. He's going to find what he's looking for. He's going to cure with his issue all at once. Right. He gets it all. He gets selfie back, and he cures his ED. So, not listening to the man God, what did the man God say the repercussions were?
He's going to regret it.
He's going to regret it. Now, everything so far that's happened since he's not listened to him has been great, which means that here comes the regret.
So, and hear me out. Because I don't disagree with you, but hear me out. Roxy. Here's what I'm saying, and this is why I think that it's important to say this. Yes, there is regret, but he also did say that if he did not go, he would also probably very well much so feel some regret.
Not the man God. The man God didn't say that.
The man God did say, would you not regret something if you didn't go? Because let's say, for instance, he didn't go, Roxy would be dead right now.
I think we might need to play that back. I think we might need to go back, watch that, just that moment in particular.
I'm pretty sure he said that. I'm pretty sure he said you will regret if you don't go too.
Interesting, because if that kind of spins this whole thing right around. If he did, I don't think he did though. I'm going off the assumption that
I don't think he said directly regret. I think he tried to play it in the sense of saying like inaction will be some kind of regret. This is what I remember him saying. I remember him saying if he goes, he will regret it. If you don't go, you have to follow these. Have sex with the beast women. You're gonna be even happier than you've ever been if you just do that. If you continue your life here, continue with selfie, continue with the baby, blah 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 blah. That's what I remember him saying. Now I'm going off the assumption that he didn't say that, because if I go off the assumption that he did say you will possibly regret it, then that got me thinking like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. And he's right for not listening to the man God in that particular case, because in this case, it's his mom and it's Roxy. I think those two are very important to the entire overall story. Saving those two, I think, are it goes deeper than
than just Roxy being his master and first crush, and his mom being his mom, right?
Yeah.
But I will say that him going and him being able to teleport, I don't remember the man god mentioning anything about that. They only mentioned the fact that it took a long time to get there. The man god said that, and also he was mentioning that he will miss the birth of his son or something like that. So I'm hoping nothing goes wrong with these teleporters. But right now, I'm feeling like I'm glad he did, but I know some bullshit is coming.
Yeah, I wish I could find. I want the conversation with the man guy, because it's. I know, so to speak, what he said. But
that's a big deal. Like that changed the entire conversation. If he said, either way, you're going to regret it. Like that changed the entire conversation.
Because I agree with you. Every time he has to do what the man guy says, because the man guy has not failed him. I think the only time he didn't do it was the teleportation thing, right?
Nope. He's always listened to the man guy. He's never veered once. So,
I mean, we don't have any true basis on seeing what could happen then. Now the gut check here sucks, because I feel like everything can't be all good with this, right? I think that regardless of what happens, I think, like, let's say for instance he makes it home in time, maybe he doesn't make it home with his mom. But it also feels. Go ahead.
I think the opposite. I think he makes it in time. He saves his mom, but he loses Paul.
And that's what I was thinking. I think that this seems like a very Paul send away kind of setup. Like they're gonna make it so like, oh well, Paul got to go to a dungeon for the first time with Rudy. He got to live out all his fatherly, he's a grandfather now. He's got this, he's got that. He got to do a dungeon with his son. He got to apologize to Elena Elise. And it's like he's done all these things and check off the list. Now he can die. So I feel that, because that is literally how I felt watching it. But I think that everything goes right, and then maybe Paul does die, and he's going to regret it regardless. Because I think maybe if he didn't go, Paul would be so depressed that he finds out that his mom died anyway. You know what I mean? So he could end up in a state of regret regardless.
I think the state of regret would have been, I think this is how I see it, okay? And this is just pure conjecture. I have no fucking clue. But this is how I see it. If he don't go, if he listens to the man God, his life is happy, he he started his family, something happens at the end of his tenure at that university to where he can then go back and save Zenith. Because if you remember, at the end of season 1, Zenith wasn't in any danger. She was at the bottom of some place, frozen in time or some sort. She was imprisoned in some way. I don't think she would have died. Okay, I don't think death was intimate for her at all whatsoever. So I think it's a timing thing. That's what I think this has all been about. It's the man God prepping Rudy for the inevitable timing of him growing, getting stronger, getting better, getting faster, getting a family, getting happier, in order for him to come back stronger to then fight the other gods, to then be able to do what he needs to do to fight these deities, essentially, to be strong enough to fight these deities. Now that you're veering off of that, now you changing shit. Now you fucking up what you got going on. So now you either stun your growth, you're stunning your ability to protect the people you love, because like you said, if he never would have went, Paul would have been too depressed to go. If Paul would have been too depressed to go, I think that would have, maybe Roxy would have been dead, unfortunately. Maybe that could have been the possible loss still, but maybe she made it out still. Because if Roxy is going to be the downfall, I think the man God would have figured out a way, because Roxy is also very important to Rudy's life. So again, it's only if the man God said don't go, right? If, like saying what you think he said, out of my head, if that was the case, I think he would. If he would have not went, yes, it would have sucked for his little sisters to know that he didn't try to go save his mom. But it's intentional for him to gain something, because every time he's listened to the man God, he's gained an ability. He's gained the eye of foresight. He's gained some kind of a power that made him extremely powerful. And his wife and his home and his son, like all of this shit that happened, he's gained from listening to the man God, and you don't this time. It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one to gauge, but I do think this is where we lose Paul, maybe save Zenith. Either way is going to be a disaster in the end, I think. Personally.
But yeah.
Still didn't find it?
No, I'm trying to find the actual script, but it is what it is. C'est la vie.
We'll come back to this next week though, because I do think it's very pertinent that we do.
It's gonna be crazy gut checks.
Yeah.
Next week too, huh?
Now,
goodness gracious.
Let's do this quick final gut check for Windbreaker. The tournament of power is over. Everything that you said was wrong and everything I said was right. Nobody lost. Our people won. But what I think happened, and what you did was you did what was unpredictable, right? For a shonen anime, right? Like what you stated was probably something that should have been unpredictable and very powerful for the story. However, they didn't. They went to typical shonen route, very tropey, extremely tropey, where the good guys win, power of friendship, blah blah blah. You know the use, right?
Yeah, of course.
But however, it was executed to the utmost perfect degree of brilliance, storytelling, pacing, timing. Everything was done excellently, that you cannot deny it. No matter who you are and what you feel about shonen or whatever the fucking case may be, you cannot deny how perfect this episode was when it came to the trope of shonen, power, friendship, growth, arc, whatever you want to call it. It was perfect. Deny? Do you deny that?
It's not that. My exact thoughts were, yes, I can understand the idea of it being for shonen perfect, or if this were the epitome of what shonen should be, right? It was perfection. I can kind of agree with that. My issue is that not necessarily that I disagree with that. It's more about the fact that this felt like it was geared instead of towards young boys to like teenage to young adult-ish boys. And the reason I say that is because the delivery for this was perfect if you were talking to teens. If you were talking to like young kids, like 8 to, let's say, even like 12 or whatever, 13 maybe. Yeah. This is like whatever. It's gonna be mute. This seemed like it was made for like that 16 to like 19, maybe 20 age range even. To put that in perspective though, the shonen tag says target demographic is teen and young adult males. Okay, yeah, then that's what I was looking for, because I was trying to see and that's what I was looking for exactly, like if there was a difference or a separating title for like teen boys to young boys. This felt like a shonen geared towards the proper people that was made for, in a sense, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because Windbreaker these are all teen people. So for them to have this moment and have that, this feels like emotions that teen boys feel with their boys, they bros, the dudes they kick it with, hang out with, they love. You know, these are just very regular emotions, and they display that in an extremely, I'm gonna say, what feels accurate way for teen boys. You know what I mean? And that's what made this so beautiful, is that it was delivery. The delivery on every regard for this anime so far has been on all cylinders. It's been crazy. Well said. From the design, which I meant to also bring up how well the cinematography was in Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night, because bro, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I meant to bring that up. But I mean, like when I say like cinematography here, I mean the angles, the positioning of the characters. They place them dynamically, either whether it be to the center of the screen or on a like asymmetric like placement. This show has been great, and the delivery and how this story is, like, yes, I was looking for something a little bit less typical.
Which is
but
respectable.
This typical was hitting, bro.
Yeah.
This is a good typical.
Yeah.
This was one that was like, all right, yeah.
And I absolutely love what you wanted from this. Like, I would have been okay with that, with somebody losing. But the way I saw it, I didn't think it'd sit right with this particular show, only because of the way they set it up, right? They set it up as like, listen, we're powerful, okay? We don't fuck around. And they set that up day one. Like, it's not hard to predict that they wasn't going to go the way of somebody losing.
The power of friendship day one too, bro. The power of friendship was heavy on day one, and this is only day two.
Exactly. So it was very obvious, but I will say, like, the outcome of it, brilliant, right? The outcome of the lessons that people learned are very reasonable. The reason why Choji felt the way he felt, very reasonable. The reason why Toga may not reach in Choji, very perfect, because he instead of him punching him in his fucking mouth and saying, yo, get it together, this is not you, this is not who you are, he took over and like, let me take the burden and you continue to be you. And they put on this fake facade, like, I just want to fight and fight strong people, get stronger and be free at the top, even though he should have been. Like, it was all so well done that you can't take nothing away from it. Now, to gut check as to where this goes in the future, who the fuck do you fight that is stronger than Choji?
Somebody gonna pull up. And Choji was crazy too. Crazy. Nuts. Choji had him.
Yeah.
But I think another rival gang pulls up and sets a different precedent. I'm not sure, because it has to be it, right? Because maybe we'll have like a calm. Maybe they get back from the fight and somebody is like, you know, ransacking their stuff. But I don't know, bro. It has to be another opposing group, or there has to be some reason. Like, I hate to say it, like maybe law enforcement or something is corrupt and they come through as the main bad guys. I'm not sure what it is, because it has to give. I'm saying it has to give something credence to the fact that outside of the gangs, why is it just the kids who are protecting everything? Why isn't there police? Why isn't there this, that? So I'm not saying that they have to give an idea as to why there isn't that, but I'm saying that's an aspect I'm thinking. That could be too adult for this show specifically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think they have to give us something next to say, oh, okay, we beat the bad guy already for the season, but there got to be something that's leading to what's next. So I think it's another rival gang, and they'll probably be in purple or something like that, purple or blue.
Very good point. Yeah, or red.
Or red, that would go crazy.
I'm looking forward to it. My gut check is it's a rival gang, because this show is very atypical, but it's not be usual. Okay, very atypical, typical shonen power friendship, blah blah blah. But I think somebody pulls up. But before that, because this is a 2-core season, and we only got 3 more episodes. Well, technically 3 more episodes, 4 more episodes left from the time you're hearing this. I think this is the training arc, in a sense. It's not going to be your typical training arc, but it's going to be a training arc in a way. And I think we're going to learn a lot more about everything that you've mentioned, like the whys of why the street is the way it is, why there's no cops, why there's this and why there's that, why there's the separation in the neighborhood in general. So we're going to learn the whys of that within these last 4 episodes, because I don't think they're going to set up a major arc until probably 13, right? Which is the last episode, to go into the second core, which I don't know when that's going to be. Probably winter, if I had to guess. But
which that could be fine.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm happy with what we got so far. I'm loving it. But you know what else I love?
What's that?
When you follow me on Twitter, I'm at Polo Born Fly on all social media.
I'm at King Teliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mike Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mike Check Waifu on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And as always, Mike Check.
You're now tuned into Mike Check Waifu.